Cheers, guys. Epix 911, welcome to the Monday, April 17th, 2017 edition of VR News. Going to start with company that I've liked a lot in the past, still do, haven't appreciated the last couple Final Fantasies. 12 was the last one that I really enjoyed. But they are working on a virtual reality JRPG offering. Well, more accurately, it is a card battler game with JRPG elements called Million Arthur. They've just released a new trailer for it. So far, it's only been available Japanese language via the Apple iPhone, Android phone. Apparently releasing this spring sometime, so the next few months, on the HTC Vive. So far confirmed only with Japanese language support. No word on any kind of localization. So if you happen to speak, read Japanese, give it a shot. But that game to come out within the next couple of months on the HTC Vive. Next up, if you are a fan of drones, and I gotta admit, just the techie inside me, guys, put it this way, if funds were not an issue, I would have a drone. That's just, I'm weird like that. I'd also have a telescope, because I haven't had a telescope for the last few years. Fully automated, CCD mind you, but I'd have one. But I don't think I'd be able to afford this drone. Well, let's talk about it. It's called the Flying Eye. It is a 6K resolution, broadcast quality, live streaming 360-degree drone. This thing has amazing range, over 5 miles. We're talking, almost 10-kilometer range, using a proprietary and trademarked wireless transmission system that the company behind this, 360 Designs, has, trademarked, called Breeze. So, very impressive. So is the price, guys. $75,000 US. So forget about those ones at Best Buy. Save your paper route money. Keep those empties around. And you know what? Maybe in a few decades, you could afford this drone. But in all seriousness, pretty damn impressive in terms of the range. Interesting that technology hasn't been farmed out to other places. You would think 360 Designs could have a whole business licensing that wireless transmission service, especially if it's capable of broadcast quality 6K with the kind of latency you'd need for real-time streaming. It certainly sounds pretty damn impressive. Next story. The latest StarVR HMD upgrades make some cool enhancements, including nearly invisible screen dooring. Now, screen dooring, for those who are susceptible to it, can be absolutely an irritant. And one of those things like dead pixels for me, where once you notice it, you can't frickin' stop staring at it. Now, thankfully, for some reason, even though I see the screen door effect, it doesn't bother me. I'm able to just kind of immerse myself into the game. If it was a dead pixel, absolutely, I would notice it. Strange, but that's how my strange brain works. Now, this, of course, is the headset that is being used for IMAX VR centers. It's the one with the crazy field of view, 210 degrees, and as you can see in the picture, has that strange design with, kind of two iPhones or Androids meeting each other. But what's odd about this, forget the really good resolution, forget the amazing field of view. This thing only offers 62 hertz refresh rate, which is significantly lower than the 90 that the Rift or Vive offer. You can't help but think at 62 hertz, it's going to be susceptible to people who are flicker sensitive, which is another thing that I am as well. Like, I'm sensitive to it, probably many of you out there as well. You're going to notice that at 62 hertz, definitely not at 90. Now, according to the company, they are working on a higher refresh rate. They're still calling the updated version a developer kit, even though they've shipped these things out to IMAX for actual commercial non-dev use. That's the tagline on these things still. Next news story. VR experience, I'm hoping game based on one of my favorite sci-fi series of all time with one of my favorite action actors of all time, Sigourney Weaver, and the Aliens franchise. Love that first movie, love the second movie. Aliens, still top 5 sci-fi films, right? On the assumption that I could pick one to represent a franchise, like one Star Wars, etc., right? Yeah, love the film. Well, apparently, RSA Films has launched RSA VR, and it's a new division led by co-founder Ridley Scott, dedicated exclusively to creating, developing, and producing virtual reality and augmented reality content. So one of the things that they are working on in the VR division of RSA, it's going to be headed by Jen Dennings, and he is the person behind the Martian VR experience, for example, or one of the people behind that. Now, RSA VR for their first project is going to be teaming up with 20th Century Fox, company Fox Next, and Technicolor's MPC to create this VR game/experience based on the upcoming Aliens movie, Alien Covenant, which sadly doesn't feature Sigourney Weaver, but that's okay. Probably still a movie I'm going to see. Details for the rest of it, there's not much to say other than that it's going to be based on Covenant, and they haven't, again, confirmed if it's a game, if it's an experience. Like I said, I'm hoping for a game. A game in VR with aliens would be pretty damn awesome. There was a game out for a little while. I think it's still playable with some modding. Was one of the Aliens one on DK1 or 2, if I'm not mistaken. But anyways, I digress. Next story, guys. Viveport apps get achievements as well as profiles with the latest SDK update. So a new update to the Viveport software development kit. It's version 1.5.1, and it's going to enable Unity developers to add a lot of new features. Like I said, user profiles, stats, achievements, leaderboards, and the dreaded in-app purchases. Now, many of these are already available on Steam, but according to them, they may also make this compatible for Unreal Engine 4. But right now, it is just for Unity developers. No timeline on when Unreal Engine 4 is expected to be available. Last story, chalk this one up to a little bit of strange and a lot of weird. A VR Binge viewing that sets a world record. So this took place in New York. Variety.com hosted this article. Usually the kind of thing I would gloss over and not really talk about. It is a little slow, and you know what? It's just weird enough to end with. So let's get into it. So 2 characters here. One of them has a record in VR already, 96 hours doing something or other. Anyways, he set this record. So one of the guys, his name is Alejandro Fragoso. He's 26. He's the fellow with the other record. And then you've got Alex Christensen, who is 37. So they hit the 50-hour mark at 10:45 a.m. Monday after essentially having sat there the entire weekend, 2 days straight over the Easter weekend, basically being in VR, watching 360-degree content for the most part. And a lot of what they were watching were, mini shows, 10 minutes of this, 15 minutes of that. There wasn't a hell of a lot of involved content that they were watching. So would have been a pretty, boring at times, 50 hours, I would imagine, along with the psychosis and, just being awake that long. Now, there were some weird rules. This thing was hosted by company Cyberlink, but apparently they were able to, use the bathroom, obviously, which is a good thing. They had free snacks and drinks. Not sure what that means when you take a break. Did they get to take the HMD off for 10 minutes? Is that really a record? I don't know. They didn't get into that. If anybody knows, I would love to hear. I honestly didn't research it beyond that. Like I said, to me, you know what? Do it for fun. I mean, sure, if you want to set a record, that's entirely up to you. But for me, I stay in VR as long as I need to stay in VR without assigning, hours to it necessarily, or trying to set some records. But hey, to each their own. So again, Cyberlink hosted that as part of a promotion for VR playback features on its latest Power DVD 17 software. They were using Rift headsets, if you're curious. All right, guys, that is it for the news on this Monday. Tomorrow, a day I have been waiting for quite a while. We'll talk about it. We will talk about it in about 24 hours, guys. Have a kick-ass evening, and we will see you tomorrow. As always, cheers.